Welcome, everybody. I'm Kate Houston, and I am so excited to introduce our next expert to you. Her name is Michelle Marchant Johnson. She's a professional relationship coach, author, speaker, and she works with exceptional women from around the world who want to enjoy a loving, passionate, committed relationship with an extraordinary man. Datingadvice.com has named Michelle as one of the top 10 midlife relationship experts for her popular advice. Overcoming her own inner blocks to love, she became an ecstatic first bride at age 43 and has now been married to the man of her dreams for over 15 years. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, Kate. I guess maybe I shouldn't put the number of years it dates me, but oh well, here we are. Rocking it in our 50s, I guess.
Well, it's great because, you know, one of the stories women might be telling themselves is I'm too old, or I just should give up, or something around their age when they're like looking for that lasting love and they've had the roller coaster relationships and they just resigned to their aloneness, maybe, especially after the last few years where it's how do we get out of that spot? How do we identify what's holding us back? And is there a pattern that we might even look at that is building the evidence that might even have been for these last few years to keep us from leaning in and trying some things?
You know, it's so interesting you say that, Kate, because I do think we all have hidden patterns, and that's not our main topic that you and I will be talking about today, but I certainly had mine. And then I also think we can find little reasons or excuses to kind of hide behind. Like one of my clients recently said, you know, this pandemic has given me a lot of really good reasons as to why I don't have to put myself out there and date. So, you know, I think those things are just things to look at. And so this is what's wonderful about these kind of events.
Yeah.
Is you kind of get to explore and dance with some new ideas.
I love it. I love it. Exactly. And it's so important to like get underneath some of those hidden patterns and start questioning, or if you're catching yourself saying those same things, that is trying to build evidence to keep you from the vision you actually want. That might be like the little alarm system say, hey, let's look at that.
Exactly.
So I love that you like can really help women, like showing up as their like virtual wing woman with them to really help them as that friend, but that friend will really get honest with them. Like you said, help them see those things that maybe a friend might not feel confident about saying something about. But how do we walk through the potential landmines of dating and really understand what are we missing when we're looking for the way into a man's heart? Is there something that a woman may not be paying attention to that is actually the real thing that men are looking for? What have you learned with all of your experiences?
Yeah, it's such a great question. 20 minutes, huh? Okay.
I know.
Well, I want to kind of zero in on one thing that I think is really important, because there's obviously a myriad of things we could talk about here. But you know, one thing that I really understand for myself and came to know for myself during my many years of being single and now working with many women is that we don't control other people. And once we kind of like release the feeling or the need or desire to control other people and we focus on who we are, how we're showing up in the world, it can make a world of difference. So that's why looking at these patterns can be really key. And understanding more about like how we're presenting, how we're showing up, what are those thoughts, what are those patterns that may be going on that may be kind of repeating themselves. If we keep having the same experience, and like I felt I was bumping my head against the wall over and over again, we have to say that one of the common denominators, at least here, is me, right?
Yes.
And so there may be something to look at. And so one of the things I've done that I've really loved about my work over the last few years, Kate, and I know we're really passionate about what we do, is even though I work with women, I have spent a lot of time and I've interviewed hundreds of men over the last few years.
I love that. What is the nugget that is there a common thread you've heard show up in those conversations with men that when you hear it, you're like, oh, well, yeah, but it's not the thing women know?
Well, so that was kind of what I wanted to share in my interview today, was just 5 feminine qualities that men have mentioned repeatedly over and over again, when I've asked them the question, what attracted you to your now girlfriend or wife? Because most of these men I have interviewed have been a little more mature men, mostly 40 and above, and men who are in or are pursuing serious relationships. So, the obvious is that, of course, they're attracted to what you look like, men are visual, all of those kind of things. And we hear all of this talk out there about feminine energy and masculine energy. And I think some of that can be kind of confusing and kind of triggering, especially for those of us, let's just be honest, who have worked really hard for our own independence and who we are. And out of necessity or out of choice, we've had to be pretty independent and in some ways navigate the world in what might be called more goal-oriented masculine energy. So it can kind of be like a confusing or triggering thing in some ways. But when I've interviewed these men, Kate, it's been so incredible and so touching with some of the things they've shared. So would that be all right if I just kind of share some of that?
Yes, these are the nuggets we're dying to hear. Bring it on. Are you kidding?
All right. Because I think it's empowering to women. It's one thing I want to make clear before I jump into these is this is not about you being a pushover or being the damsel in distress or this helpless woman or dumbing yourself down or diminishing your light or your accomplishments. It's about being really authentically you. What I also know, though, is most women, the rare exception of a few, prefer to have a man who's more in the masculine energy doing the initiating and the pursuing and that sort of thing in a relationship. So if you think about that, we can't have two people driving the car at the same time. Yeah. We can't have two people leading the dance at the same time, or you're going to step all over each other's toes. So this idea of feminine energy and how it kind of applies with men has been a really interesting conversation to have with them. So I just want to share 5 things that they've shared that I thought might be interesting and helpful.
I love it. Let's do it.
Okay, so the first one is warmth. So this is just the way you show up in the world. You're caring, you're kind, you're warm. There's a warmth, and I think you know what I mean when I say that. Like how you feel like when I connect with you, Kate. It's like your smile is like the warmth of the sun. It's this beautiful, warm smile. I feel warmth. There's something really that makes me want to connect with you because of that warmth. And one man described it. He said that when he was dating his now wife, he said he just noticed how she interacted with people. Just every person she interacted with, no matter their age or station in life, from little children to elderly people, she was kind in the way she spoke with them and the way she treated them. And there was just a warmth about her in her personality. And so this, I thought, was just such a beautiful comment, the way this man talked about it. And little touches of warmth for a man can really feel like it gives him a chance to connect with a feeling. I can remember when I first married my husband, he said just the feeling of being touched. And I'm not just talking about sexual touching. I'm just talking, touching his hand, grabbing his hand, touching his arm, just giving him a hug, just the warmth.
Yeah.
So that's one.
To invite that in and the hesitation or the worry that might come about what does that mean can be the barrier for women when, just allowing that when it feels like correct in the present moment, just leaning into that. And it doesn't have to mean it's forever or that it means something deeply. It just means that right now this felt good and they'll feel that. And I love that you were mentioning this idea of the warmth being when a man can watch how you are with others, because I think a real quality man, a man who's truly interested in a relationship and looking for that partner for their life, they may even just watch you before they're watching you, or watch how you move about from the bathroom and back from the restaurant and interact, or just that as an essence, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this man, when he described it, he said, he's like, I noticed when she would talk to a little child, she would kind of like get down on their level to talk to them. Or if she was speaking to an elderly person, she might speak a little more slowly and listen carefully. They may not be hearing as well. He's just like, she would tune in and connect with people in all different stages and ages of life. So I thought that was a neat one.
I love that. It's like allowing men to see you and be in awe of just who you are.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
that's so sweet.
Okay, so the second one is receptivity. And what I love about receptivity, we always hear men love to please women and men like to make women happy. That hasn't been every woman's experience with men. And I'm not making women responsible for when men don't show up that way. But what I am saying is we can invite a lot of that by being receptive to receiving it. And because so many of us, myself included, have been so self-sufficient and independent and that sort of thing, and because it's a natural feminine quality to give, typically our giving muscles are really well developed. We're like Popeye on that, right? Totally. But when it comes to receiving, and especially what I like to call graciously receiving, means receiving and giving gratitude or appreciation and thanks for what you've received from a man, sometimes our muscles are not so accustomed to that, doing those kind of moves, those kind of exercises, right?
Yeah.
And so, but for a man, men have described this to me. They're like, you have no idea what it means to just see you smile or see you say, this makes me so happy, or let us know what would make you so happy, and then appreciate or acknowledge what we do. A lot of men have said that means so much more to us than having you do something back for us in kind. Like, sometimes as women, we feel like, well, he's done this nice thing for me. I need to do some nice thing for him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't
feel it's out of balance, right? They're like, ooh, what does this mean? And, but really that is a pathway into their hearts, is allowing and receiving and receptivity.
Right. Because they get to feel appreciated, acknowledged. That kind of like brings out that masculine energy. And that feeling of, oh, wow, I have something to offer here. Even if she's this amazing, incredible, accomplished woman, I have something that I can bring to her life that's going to be valuable. And men have shared with me, you have no idea what that does for us. That just makes us feel so incredibly good. So practicing being receptive. I say to women, if it's not uncomfortable for you in some way or against your morals or whatever, right. And you can say yes. If a man offers to do something, try saying yes, and then say, yes, please. And when he does it for you, say thank you.
Yes.
Because you give him the opportunity. It's kind of like, I use this basketball analogy. It's kind of like being like the woman is like the forward in the basketball team, dribbling the ball down the court. She may toss it off to the center or the forward up by the basket. So that's the man. He makes the basket. So technically he makes the points. If you're on the same team, or if you're in a relationship, you both win. Yeah. It becomes a win-win. You set him up by giving him those opportunities.
And what I'm hearing too is, now that we're in this modern time where we do create our own independence, our own financial wealth, when providing was very structured in the past for men and women, now it's men, they still want to provide. So if they can provide you with joy and delight, that's where we're changing and shifting it. And when we allow that, that's a secret to touching their heart, to feeling connected, even if we're feeling like, how can that possibly be? Well, just believe us. You've got the evidence from all the people, all the men you've spoken to. Just believe us. Try it out.
Yeah, try it out. Like I said at the beginning, it's a chance to like try on new things. Try a few new dance moves out there.
Yes, exactly.
Emotional connection and expressiveness. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by this, Kate, is that a lot of times the masculine energy, or men, are more in their heads, more in the logical kind of mind. So many men have shared with me, when a woman is able to kind of share from her heart and share kind of things about herself more from an emotional state instead of just a factual like resume state. Yeah. He said it's like getting a heart glimpse. It's like getting a glimpse into a woman's heart. So for example, if I were out there dating, I'm not, my husband wouldn't appreciate it, but if I were out there dating now, someone asked me what I do, I would say, the resume version would be, well, I'm a love and dating relationship coach for women, helping women meet and attract the right man. But the more emotionally connected version might be something like, I feel like I'm the luckiest woman in the world because I get to do work in the world that makes such an incredible difference in people's lives And I get to see the joy when I help other women move through their blocks and find the perfect man for them and enjoy a loving, passionate relationship with them. I feel like I'm the luckiest woman in the world. You can see the difference. There's like emotion, there's like feeling. It's not just the resume factual stuff. Or I had a client who had been very well traveled. She'd traveled to, I don't remember, like 40 countries or something. So she's on a date. They're talking about traveling. And the factual version is, oh, yeah, I love travel too. I've been to 40 countries. But the more emotionally connected heart glimpse kind of way of saying it might be, you know what, I can see why travel is exciting for you too. I will never forget some of the experiences I've had traveling. Like I remember walking through the spice markets in India for the first time, and the smells and the colors and the visuals, everything was just like mind-blowing to the senses. I will never forget that moment. It gave me chills. Just thinking about it now gives me chills. So I'm just giving you a couple of examples. It's like sharing a little something about yourself. It doesn't have to be your most deep, intimate secrets, but sharing more from a heart-centered way, because that allows a man to kind of drop down into the heart and connect a little bit more with his feelings instead of just the exchange of information that feels like resume sharing or a job interview.
Right. I've had clients too, where they say after we've worked together and they're curious and they're interested in stories, they've actually had men say, wow, this coffee date felt like a conversation. It went by so fast. It didn't feel like a job interview. And then they'll ask, well, what do you mean? Like, well, everybody else I've ever talked to, it's just this boom, boom, boom. It's and it may be or may not be a list, but there's a headiness to that they're acknowledging, and they're loving that there's a sharing of stories, which what you're saying is like, what's the meaning behind the events that happen? What are the values behind that? And what can you share about that? And that's the heart connection.
Yeah, they can see just a little glimpse of who you are.
Yeah.
So that's more likely to make them feel a resonance and a connection with you. And the other bonus is it also helps make it safer for them to share.
I love that.
So you're much more likely to have a connection. This next one is passion. It kind of goes along with the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So many men have said, the moment I knew I was really in love with her was when I saw her talk about the things that she was really excited about in life, or that were really passionate about, or that were really important to her. And it was like her whole essence just lit up. She just was like lit from within. And I think you understand too what I'm talking about when I talk about that. They just find that to be incredibly attractive and appealing, because again, it's like helps them feel something. You know, so many men have said to me, when I'm just out there with the guys or just out there competing in the world, not to say that women don't compete in the world too, but I think it's even more so for them. They're like, I don't feel anything. I just don't feel anything. It's just connecting with those feelings. So when they see you lit up and excited about something, it really can be really appealing and really attractive. When I wanted to start I come from a corporate background, and when I wanted to start my coaching business, it was shortly after my husband and I got married, and I had a very nice corporate job. And I was a little nervous to tell him, you know, I got this big dream. I want to become this entrepreneur and start this coaching business and, you know, walk away from all that. But when I talked to him about it and I shared why it was important to me and how my own journey to love had been such a journey, and I really felt like I had learned and discovered things that I could help people with, you know, he felt it. He felt my passion for it. And so he was all in. He was all in on supporting it, even though he's a very logical, left-brained attorney, CPA, you know, right? He got it.
The more he needs your heart experience, right?
Right. And then number 5, this one may not be any surprise, because this is typically the number one quality that both men and women say really attracts them to someone, and that's confidence.
Yeah.
And so this kind of confidence, when I'm talking about this, means really being centered in knowing your own value. This comes back to what I said at the beginning. Being in that feminine energy or that feminine essence is not about dumbing yourself down or being weak. I believe there's a lot of strength in being feminine. And so this kind of confidence means in the way you carry yourself, in the way you handle yourself, in knowing your own standards and boundaries, and being willing to speak the truth, and being willing to ask for your own wants and needs. it's a confidence that's not arrogance, and there's no meanness in it. It's just, you know who you are. You own your own value, and you're true to yourself first and foremost, because that invites a man to really kind of step up into his best. And I've even had men say this. They've said, wow, I got when I was going out with her, I needed to step up my game if I was going to be with this woman, because I knew she knew who she was. And if I was wanting to spend time with her, I knew that I had to show up at my best as well. And they found that very attractive. It like calls them into their higher self.
Yes, by just you being you and in that confidence, I feel like the confidence and passion kind of go hand in hand too, where you're just a vibrant essence about the things that you just love or involved in, whether it's causes or contribution to the world or creativity or just interacting with the arts or whatever it might be. Like when you spark alive, and I think that's nice too, because men will see you're a vibrant, happy, healthy, whole person having a lot of interests without me, and I just get to add to that and be a part of that and be in awe of what I witnessed from you. And sometimes I think when we get into relationships, we suddenly lose that drive, that spark, those interests, and just go, well, if I just keep giving to the man, then we lose ourselves. When people say we just let go of the things that matter. And when we wonder why a man isn't interested anymore, it's because just those things, you're mentioning these 5 things that they are drawn to. And when they've disappeared, guess what's going to happen when your qualities have disappeared? That attraction and spark is dissipating.
Yeah, and some of the polarity kind of like collapses when that happens.
Wow.
Because some of those beautiful, beautiful qualities that you brought to the table are diminished if you're not like taking care of yourself. So you're bringing up such a good point, Kate. So glad you mentioned that, because this applies not only when you're dating, but when you get into a relationship or you get into a marriage. This is something that I've been really aware of in my now 15-year marriage. I do keep my own passions and interests and excitement. And that's part of what keeps the spark alive, is we have things we love doing together, but we also love the fact that we both have our individual interests and passions, and he cheers me on and I cheer him on, and it's just a blessing. But we have like that polarity because I'm able to be more in the creative, side and doing my passion work, and bless his heart, he's down there doing my business taxes and taking care of all that, right? I'm like,
that's love. That is serious love, I gotta say. But it's true, because then you get to come together and share with that excitement and wonder and delight what happened in your experience with your own whatever you love to do or participate in. And it's bringing it back to those first moments of like where they get to see you as the you they met, the you they were curious about. And then they get to see another layer of you and another piece of you that maybe we haven't, that as we unfold and reveal in the years together, to be in awe of something deeper each time.
Yeah. It's kind of like peeling an onion, although we're a lot sweeter smelling than onions.
Right?
Right.
I like that better. So good. So good. I know you have an incredible gift to give everybody that will have a link down below our interview here for them to grab. Would you share a bit about what it is so they can get excited to go get it?
Yeah, I think you'll love this gift. I love this gift for the listeners. And this, again, is information I've gathered from interviewing hundreds of men over the last few years. It's called 10 Secrets About Men Every Woman Needs to Know.
Oh, yes.
And this is kind of it's an ebook and audio training that I've done that shares, again, some of the big things and some of the things that were kind of surprising to me that have been revealed through interviewing men. And so I think you'll really like that. If you're kind of intrigued or interested and want to understand more about men, I think most of us do, I think this will be really helpful. And I think it might actually give you some insights that can really make a difference in your dating.
Take away the mystery, right? Take away the mystery and make it accessible. So you go, oh, that makes sense, because our brains don't work the same. Our hearts want to connect. And we maybe have just been reading things incorrectly and not understanding the perspective that men come from. And I love that you have all this data that supports it. So if anybody here watching has loved the secrets that we've already shared today, those tips, those steps, then get on over and grab that gift. You don't want to miss it, and get deeper into the secrets to a man's heart and how you can connect with him. That's so good.
Yeah, I think one of the things I love about doing this work and sharing also more about some of the things I've learned about men, just as a final thought, Kate, is that I think it gives us as women greater compassion for ourselves and greater compassion for them. Because, I love Alison Armstrong's perspective when she says, what if no one is misbehaving, even you? Like, if we understand and have that compassion for each other, for ourselves and for men, I think it can make a huge difference in our overall experience. So that's one of the reasons I love sharing these 10 secrets. I think you'll really like it.
So good. So good. Go grab that gift. And thank you so much for joining and sharing your wisdom and all your knowledge with everybody today. It's been such a treat.
Thank you so much, Kate, for inviting me. Lovely to be with you. Bye, everybody.